welcome to a new Bitcoin Books video. Today, we're diving into an absolutely extraordinary book by Saifedean Ammous called The Gold Standard. It presents this radical what-if scenario for the 20th century that is just fascinating.
So the book kicks off with this really provocative question. What if the huge catastrophes of the last century, the world wars, the rise of totalitarianism, this runaway growth of government, what if those weren't just inevitable accidents of history? What if they were the direct, predictable result of the kind of money societies were forced to use?
Now, this isn't just some political what-if. The author calls it an entrepreneurial fiction. It's basically a fictional economic history that explores how one single change in technology could have completely changed the course of civilization itself. So let's see how this all unfolds. Okay, but before we jump into the story itself, we really need to get our heads around the central theory that drives this entire narrative. It's the engine of the whole book. Everything in this book really boils down to the difference between two types of money. On one side, you've got hard money, things like gold or Bitcoin. It's difficult to create, right? So it holds its value, which encourages you to save and think long term. But on the other side, you have easy money, like the government fiat currency we use today. It's easy to print more of, so it's always losing value to inflation, and that encourages everyone to spend it right away.
And this critical difference leads to a concept the author calls time preference. The argument goes like this. Hard money creates a low time preference. That means society as a whole is more focused on the future, on building, saving, and investing. Easy money, though, because it's always leaking value, pushes us towards a high time preference, a focus on consuming right now, in the present, before your money is worth even less. The book basically proposes that this single metric is the key catalyst for whether a civilization rises or falls.
And this right here, this is the core of the book's thesis. See, the author's big argument is that state control over money, the government's ability to just print it whenever they want, is what really made the devastating wars and the massive expansion of government in the 20th century possible. Once they cut the link to a real asset like gold, governments weren't limited by what they could tax anymore. They could fund practically any ambition through the hidden tax we call inflation. Okay, so now that we have that framework in our minds, let's get back to the story and see how all of this plays out. Where exactly does our history split from the book's fictional timeline? The moment history splits is actually fascinating. In our world, after that amazing first flight in 1903, the Wright brothers spent the next several years just stifling the brand new aviation industry with patent lawsuits. Progress just crawled along. But in the book's version of history, something different happens in late 1910. A pivotal, though fictional, letter from another aviation pioneer, Octave Chanute, convinces them to drop the lawsuits and get back to what they did best, innovating. And just like that, with the legal brakes taken off, the aviation industry just explodes with innovation. Progress starts moving at this breathtaking pace. And this one little change to our historical timeline, well, it sets the stage for the story's hero, a charismatic French entrepreneur named Louis Blériot.
Blériot has this incredible stroke of genius. He realizes the real killer app for his advanced new airplanes isn't carrying people, it's carrying something with an incredibly high value-to-weight ratio: physical gold. His vision is to create a private, airplane-based system to move gold all around the world, completely bypassing the slow, centralized banking system. So he develops this cutting-edge plane called the Lightning. And in January 1912, he launches the Blériot Transport Corporation, or BTC.
Now, you can imagine the established financial world just scoffed at this. They dismissed BTC as some niche service for paranoid cranks. But the really shrewd business minds of the day, they saw things differently. They could see a future where banks might not be so reliable. Guys like John D. Rockefeller started using BTC to move gold between their massive corporate empires because they valued that independence from a banking system they correctly saw as getting more and more fragile. It wasn't just a service, it was their financial escape hatch. And this is where it all comes to a head. The story reaches its incredible climax. It's July 1914. The Great War is kicking off, and the very existence of Blériot's BTC is about to change the fundamental nature of modern warfare itself. So this is how it all goes down, this financial death spiral. As soon as governments go off the gold standard to print money for the war, anyone with any sense uses BTC as a kind of monetary lifeboat. They start flying their physical gold to neutral countries, and this massive capital flight starts draining the very reserves that are supposed to be backing their national currencies. And the collapse is just brutal and fast. Take the British pound, for example. At the start of the war, it was trading around £5 for an ounce of gold. By late 1915, in a single month, it crashes to a staggering £28 per ounce on the black market. The value of the currency and the savings of millions of people was just completely wiped out. The end comes with shocking speed. The final nail in the coffin is this incredible scene where the Bank of England, having already shipped its last gold reserves to the US to buy weapons, is overrun by furious citizens who break in and discover the vaults are completely empty. Without the ability to pay their soldiers or buy supplies using inflated money, the war machines just grind to a halt. The war doesn't end with some grand treaty. It ends in financial ruin, mass desertions, and the total collapse of government-controlled money. So what kind of world rises from the ashes of this financial fire? Well, the book's final section gives us this fascinating and really stark comparison between this fictional golden world and the one we actually live in. This table really lays out the two different paths history could have taken. The author argues that our fiat world, funded by easy money, inevitably led to total war, massively expanded governments, and a culture of high time preference, rampant consumerism and debt. But in contrast, the fictional golden world, built on the solid bedrock of sound money, would have remained a civilization of limited government, financially constrained wars, and a culture of long-term thinking, savings, and investment. So in the end, the book leaves you with this really powerful question. Yeah, it's a piece of fiction, but it forces you to question the very foundation of our economic system. It makes you consider the profound and often invisible impact that the nature of our money has on the entire course of human history. For those who want to learn more, the link to get the book is available in the video description. If you found this content interesting, please subscribe to the channel and like it to help us reach as many people as possible. Thank you.